You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, we'll call the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order for February 6, 2019. Item 1, to approve the Board of Selectmen minutes of January 16, 2019. They're in our packet. I put those forward in the form of a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have no tax appeals. We'll go to item 3, to consider and if appropriate approve a request from Hamlet Hernandez, Superintendent of Schools, to waive the bid for the district's transportation contract and award a 5-year contract to First Student. We have with us Don Neal. Don, you want to just hit the
highlights?
Highlights?
Sure. Being the last year of a contract, I reached out to a consultant that the district has used before, Transportation Advisory Services, and been very pleased with. The principal is a very well-respected transportation consultant to assist with the development of a bid. And the first thing he said to me was, "Are you pleased with your current contractor?" And I said, "Yes, we're very pleased. Their on-time performance is excellent. We haven't had any breakdowns. They've really been outstanding. Communication's been great. Very, very pleased." He said, "Well, that's good because now is actually a very inopportune time to go out to bid. What he's seen in the last couple of years, transportation bids, most of them have been coming in at double digits, in excess of 10% increases. And he said if we can negotiate a reasonable single-digit range renewal, that if we're pleased with the services, then and we can avoid the whole complications that, and I've been through many transportation bids and switching from one provider to another, and there can be a whole host of problems." He said, "You're much better off if you can negotiate something." And I did with his assistant. He was kind of the angel on my shoulder, whispering in my ear as I went through negotiations with First Student. Their current contract has been a 2.5% increase per year for the past 5 years. And I should probably say that one of the many reasons why he said that there's upward pressure on inflationary pressure on transportation contracts is labor costs. That's the predominant cost that they have, and obviously we're in a tight labor market with low unemployment. That doesn't help. The state has also passed legislation requiring paid sick leave for bus drivers. So there are kind of a lot of factors that play into that. At any rate, we were able to negotiate not only some good rates. We got 2 more years at 2.5%, and then a modest increase, 3% for the next 3 years for a 5-year extension. They have also included an app for parents to use so they can check and see where their child's bus is. So we felt it was a very, very reasonable proposal, and they were reasonable in negotiating downward from their original position. And we request that you approve a bid waiver for this.
Okay. All right.
Can I just ask what's the cost right now?
I don't have the total contractual cost. I don't want to just throw out a number there. But,
okay.
But he before he advised me, he did review our current contract. He said, in terms of specifications, it meets industry standards, and the costs are in line with better. In fact, he said the increases are less than what have been negotiated in other contracts.
Do they do any kind of study on like the bus schedules at the same time?
That's a great question. They do. They they review the routes occasionally. As I'm sure you know, we have a declining student population, and in fact, they cut 1 bus out of the fleet this year, kind of voluntarily. It was a little bit of pressure from us, but they reviewed their routes and tightened their belts a little bit, and we look forward to that same type of service going forward.
And one last question, does this include all of the sports activities and stuff, or do they pay for that separately? Is
No,
that,
they do that. They do that as well.
so that's all included in
They
this?
provide that, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a fixed price. They pay per run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that
We
paper,
pay per run.
and but that's included in the contract, in
Yes.
other words, it doesn't, you know that, what that is going to be?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Plus, I think it's worth noting, too, I know it was a requirement the last time when we went out to bid 5 years ago, we had put into the request that there was they required a newer fleet, and I believe this first student had updated their fleet 5 years ago when they first came on. This may be before you were here, Doug.
Yeah, so there actually is a minor modification along that line. Some of their buses were scheduled to be no more than 10 years old. The larger buses in the fleet were required to be no more than 8 years old, with the spares 10 years old. This contract does allow them to have them all go to 10 years.
10
So
years, right.
there's some flexibility there on the age.
Yeah. I mean, I think the point I was trying to make is that they increased their fleet, or made it a newer fleet when they came in. So that change that we see is still, prior to initially having them come on 5 years ago, it was an older fleet, and then they upgraded.
That's correct.
All right. I'll put that forward in a form of motion. We approve the waiving of the bid.
Yeah, I'll second it with just one more question,
Yeah.
sorry. Is this, the cost of it, available for our TM members when they see the budget? Is that?
Yeah, so we have there's a transportation line item
Right.
in our bus. Occasionally, we rely on other contracts, particularly in the pupil services side of the house, when we send, like, a single student has to go to Hartford. Sometimes we use other providers, but
Okay.
yes, it is there.
Okay. I second it, almost set.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Item 4, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Thomas Mahoney, Fire Chief, to waive bid as permitted by Section 73-2 of the Code of the Town of Branford and allow the trade of one 2008 Life Pack 12 cardiac monitor defibrillator in the amount of $4,862 towards the purchase of a new Life Pack 15 cardiac monitor defibrillator. Tom?
Thank you. Yeah, we have currently a 2008 Life Pack 12 that is 2 years over its recommended replacement. It's a spare for us right now, but what we intend to do with the trade-in, we're able to afford to buy a new Life Pack 15, and with the upcoming service expansion, it will serve us well. So I'm asking for approval to trade in the Life Pack 12 in the sum of $4,862.
Okay. I'll put that forward in a form of motion to approve the waiving of the bid.
So to speak, I'll second it.
All right. You have any questions?
Nope,
Aaron?
I'm all set.
All right, Tom, thanks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 5, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Branford Interfaith Housing Corporation to extend the property tax abatement agreement between the town of Branford and the Branford Interfaith Housing Corporation to abate real property taxes on property located at 142-190 Ivy Street for an additional 10 years, effective October 1st, 2019 grand list, as permitted by Section 169-24 of the Code of the Town of Branford. I'll put that forward in a form of a motion.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Item 6, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request for the Carrie P. Chandler Housing Development Corporation Incorporated to extend the property tax abatement agreement between the town of Branford and Carrie P. Chandler Housing Development Corporation to abate real property taxes on property located at Trista, is this the address? I'm not sure. Okay, for an additional 10 years effective October 1st, 2019, grand list as permitted by section 169-24 of the Code of the Town of Branford. So this is for the Carrie P. Chandler housing.
And it should be 13-29 Roger Street.
Thank you. 13-29 Roger Street is the address. Put that forward in a form of a motion.
With that correction, I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 7, green use, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Marion Lovig for the use of the town green May 2nd, 2019 at 6:30 PM to hold the annual National Day of Prayer. Put that forward in form of a motion.
Second?
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
To consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Tabor Blues Band for the use of the town green on Saturday, June 1st, July 6th, August 3rd, September 14th, 2019, from 6:30 to 9:30 PM to hold the Blues Jam. I put that forward in form of a motion.
Second?
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
To consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Second Company Governor's Foot Guard for the use of the town green on September 14th, 2019 to hold the annual, we have Rich Grinalch here to speak a little bit about the event they're going to be having.
Thank you, First Selectman Cosgrove. My name is Richard Grinalch. I'm the Major Commandant of the Second Company Governor's Foot Guard. And since 2009, the Second Company has been a proud resident of the town of Branford at the Branford Armory. And every 4 years, the 4 units of the organized militia every year gets together for a review by the governor or the lieutenant governor and the adjutant general, the assistant adjutant general. This year is the Second Company's turn to host that event. And since this is Branford's 375th, I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity both to showcase the town of Branford to people and at the same point showcase the militia and the spirit of volunteerism that we have. What our plan to do is to start at the Branford Armory, have a short parade to the Branford Green. We'll do the review there. At the review, there will be, I have copies of the letter I sent if you need another copy of the letter. It's okay. Then we would have, at this review, there's also a presentation of awards for Soldier of the Year for each event and the Long Service Awards. Then the troops would be reviewed, and we certainly would invite the Board of Selectmen to review our troops. We would march back to the Branford Armory, and then, though it's not the focus of this meeting, we would then have an open house at the Branford Armory showcasing it to the citizens of Branford, and have a number of other events related to the Branford's 375th and our military heritage. Right now, we would be looking essentially for the green for the morning of the 14th. I wish I could give exact time right now, but I'm still working with the governor's office on figuring it out, but we figure we'd be off the green by 1 o'clock. The reality is we'd be on the green for an hour to 75 minutes total for the event, but we would need the time before and afterwards. We would not be leaving anything on the green or any imprint. Unfortunately, there will be no horses from the horse guards at these events because of the awards and also the cost of bringing the horses makes that prohibited. Though I do believe the horses have been invited for the Columbus Day Parade, which is also being held by here in the town of Branford in conjunction with the 375th. So we would like to ask for the use of the town green for that morning of Saturday, September 14th.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, so I'll put that forward in a form of motion. I know we've discussed this. We look forward to having this in Branford and come September.
Absolutely, you guys do a great job. You're there for everything, every event that Branford has. So I wholeheartedly second it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will certainly keep your office and the police department informed as to exact time parameters when we know that.
Excellent.
So, thank you very much.
To consider if appropriate approve a request from the Branford Garden Club for the use of the town green from October 18, 2019 through November 5th, 2019 to place scarecrows on the green. Put that forward in the form of a motion.
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have no appointments or reappointments tonight. Correspondence, I believe we have any. Any other business? Yes.
May I give you some information, Mr. Selectman?
Sure, absolutely. The camera won't be able to pick you up. Would you mind coming up to the table, Stuart?
My name is Robert Wheeler. I'd like to read a letter that I sent to Mr. Scanlon, our representative in Hartford. Thank you for taking interest in the problems relative to the ownership of Crescent Bluff Avenue. On January 11th, 2019, in the court of Judge Thomas McCosser, the attorney Edward O. Hanlon, acting for the town, announced that the town was planning to take the paved part of Crescent Bluff Avenue by eminent domain. Much discussion followed, led by the judge. I now ask him if he might help, since there was no action by the town to initiate eminent domain procedure that needs to be approved by various town committees. Thank you. No comment.
So I think, as you know, there is litigation going on, but I've maintained that I feel that it is a town road, and it ought to be a town road. I believe there's a public purpose for it to be maintained as a town road. And when time is ripe, we would then proceed with actions, and there is a formal process that needs to happen before that. I believe, the attorney representing the town, O'Hanlon, did make that statement in court. However, it does still need to come before the proper boards before we move forward with that. So we are.
Can you give me any timeline?
At this point in time, I cannot, but we anticipate to be.
Thank you.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
All right, any other business? All right, I'll put forward a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.